Well, what do we have here? It's me, Sean Bischoff, the general manager for Triumph, and this is the long-awaited episode number 13 of our podcast titled Together. I'm not going to bore you today because I have a guest. I know that's going to be a surprise to you guys as viewers that we have a guest on the show, but it's a guest that I'm very excited to talk to, so I would like to just hop into this episode and get a chance to talk to him. I want to apologize for the wait. We've been trying to put together this episode for a couple weeks, but there were some technical difficulties. Had to take a week off, blah, blah, blah. You guys don't care. We're here now. So without further ado, let's just get into the show. My guest today, his name is Andrey Katz. I probably pronounced it wrong because I'm American, and that's...
No, it's fine. It's fine.
He is the head coach for Team Vitality's Valorant team. He's an old friend of mine. He's a great leader in the esports industry, and I'm really excited to catch up with him. It's been a long time since we talked. So Fragon, how are you, man?
I'm good. It's been a long time since we met. And you follow me for my career as a coach.
Of course.
We met at 2018 first time, almost 3 years ago. And you saw me, you're the first one that saw me like at my start of my career, and you all followed me later with Triumph, and you saw my growth as well. So it's also a very important point in my career as well. So it's worth you be there as well. So nice to be here and coming home, a place that helped me a lot in the past. So I'm here to share some of my knowledge and have fun.
Yeah, man. It's been so much fun, like following your career the last few years, man. Like from day one meeting you, I knew that you were going to be a top tier coach. And it was just all about like finding the right lane, and it was only a matter of time. And I knew that. And so that's why the purpose of this podcast really was, number one, was just to catch up, man, because you and I haven't had really a long form discussion in quite a while. I mean, we've exchanged messages through, the past year, but we haven't really talked very much. And I just want to hear, what you've been up to. And I also want to give an opportunity because you're a bit of a quiet guy, you like to stay in your own lane and focus on your teams. And so I think a lot of fans of Vitality maybe would like to hear some of your insights and learn a little bit more about you. I think you have a really cool story. So I just figured this would be a great opportunity for us to accomplish both of those things, to be honest. So I suppose where we'll start this episode, if you don't mind, is why don't you just, introduce yourself, give me a little backstory on where you come from and how you got to where you are now.
So very general, like I'm 32 from Israel, and I've started competing when I was at high school. I was playing some boomer games called Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, and then played it almost for 4 or 5 years, something like that. And after that, I joined the army, like everyone in Israel, and was an officer, and finished my army like after 5 years or something like that. And after that, in 2012, I just wanted to compete again after the army, and was looking, and then esports was started growing back then. So I was like looking, how can I back to what I was like to do before that? So it was kind of natural for me. I was looking for games that I can, grab on and just grinding and climbing up. And it didn't happen until Overwatch, when 2016, where I started as a pro player on the first year. And this is the first game that I felt like I can put my soul into and to grow and become professional. And later I become a coach in 2018. It's like basically 3 years since I became a coach. And I started in EU, and then I moved to NA and coached NA for almost 2.5 years, something like that. And the last team I coached in Overwatch was Triumph, which I was also one of the persons that was building it from the ground with the founding fathers, and setting up the philosophy and what is Triumph basically, and setting up the goals for this organization that was small back then and keep growing, which is also nice to see. And we had the 2 main Overwatch rosters, and we finished twice top 4 in contenders, which was really big success, especially the first roster, We started from open division. This is also was kind of before you joined. We had the longest win streak from going from open division to top 4 in contenders. The experience was amazing, but besides the experience of like and getting achievements, like, for me, like Triumph was the growth. For coaches, it's hard to find a place where you can actually grow and try stuff and try methods and see what is working to actually improve. And something is lacking in the industry right now, because it's like basically for the coaches, it's you're good, get in. You're bad, go away. Like no one tells you why or gives you opportunity to improve. So Triumph for me was a place that I built basically for myself that I can also use to grow. And I basically use all this knowledge in the past years for Triumph, and moved to Valorant in late June, and then I was looking for the team for a couple of months. It's also was the start of all the orgs start doing moves in EU, so I was trying to find a team. Long story short, it's a very long story. I was in contact with Vitality, I think at start of October or end of September, something like that, and it was a very long process of interviews, and many people interviewed me, and the trial was actually very professional compared to everything I did so far in my career. They asked me any small detail you would expect from top team to deal with, from scenarios, from philosophy to how what is my plan basically. And I really liked Vitality's philosophy and their vision, which was very similar to the way I see things, and it was very easy for me to like their way and start working with them. To be honest, I didn't know much about Vitality. Being stuck in an A, Vitality is not something you hear about much. I just only saw some of the Counter-Strike, but not not too much details. And then when I start digging and start talking with the people within the org, I really like the people. The environment is super professional, and people are really nice to work with. So I immediately hooked up, and I wanted to work with these guys.
Yeah.
So
it's good to hear, man. I think it seems like you found a good home finally. I apologize for not including you in your resume as the founding father of Triumph. I should have included that.
I'm the founding father behind the scenes. So
of course. Well, you might not know this, man, but you were one of the primary reasons I came to Triumph myself. It's so interesting that we've gone our separate ways since. But it's at the time when I was looking at what team I wanted to join last year, just as a manager, I was like, you know what, I'm going to join Triumph because they have Fragon, and I want to work with you. And so it's interesting how life works, because it's just this back and forth for many years. And it seems like you found a good home now with Vitality. And I know for a lot of our North American fans, Vitality is not a household name, like you're saying, a French organization. So I know I've kind of joked with you about brushing up on your French, but they are probably the biggest French organization, I'd say, definitely the most known about today, particularly because they have a really successful CS team. So for them, entering Valorant is probably a really big deal, because they want to be able to maintain their philosophy and their momentum from CSGO into Valorant, which is a pretty similar game, right? Similar kind of game. So when you messaged me, man, that you were going to join Vitality, and I don't want to get you in trouble, but, when you messaged me, it was a long time ago, and I was very happy for you immediately. And it was interesting because then it took quite a while for you guys to put the team together until it was finally announced. So I'm just curious, what was the process like building this team for Vitality? I know you like to take your time and follow the process. So can you kind of enlighten me? Was there a core that you knew you wanted to start with, or what was the process like?
First of all, I think it took 1 month before we start doing any moves. since I've joined. Like it's no dates, so we won't leak anything. But
of course,
the most of the work was just basically scouting for players. I was watching a lot of VODs and tournaments. Obviously, I already had I had quite extensive knowledge when I started scouting because I was with FPX for a couple of weeks before that. So from scrims and for tournaments, so I had a good idea what's happening in the scene. So it wasn't that I came from Overwatch straight forward to Valorant. So I had I had a process there, and I guess starts following players slowly. Which is also it's my hobby, following players. So I kind of did it naturally. I always have my depth chart list that me and Brad were starting doing when with our first roster in Valorant. In Overwatch, and still keeping the same format, from back then. It's helping me, and just a list of players that I just watch a tournament. I see someone with a good potential, just write his name down, and I don't know, maybe somehow later I will come back to him somehow. So you never know. And so I have this list. It's I'm doing it for fun, but it's also I like to scout for players. I like to scout for new talent, which is also Vitality's philosophy, finding the next talent and help them to grow and become the best professional version of them they can be. So then during the first strike, we had the people that we want to follow, and then we wanted to see how people perform in the first strike, especially after you telling them that you're following them. You see their reaction, if they're keep the pressure, or it's getting their head. That's there's an org on the line. So, and also we didn't want to interrupt to any team during the time and get them sign them before the tournament, because at that time we didn't know if we want a full team and if we want the mixed rosters. But this first strike was a golden ticket for every team in EU, because there was a lot of rumors about, I don't know, 6, 7 orgs, even 8 orgs that making moves. So you can force a team to disband just in your favor, and then telling them, no, we're not picking you up, and then fucking their opportunities with other orgs. So we wanted to be fair with them. So we started the process of tryouts at start of December, day after the first strike. So I also visited some of the scrims, some of these teams. So I knew the idea, I knew what I'm looking for with these players. So those who are scouted, I visit their scrims and see how they play, how they communicate, how they behave with their teammates. So I had good idea of what to expect from the players. So when I started building the core, and the first core, I already had a good understanding how it will look like. Obviously, it will never going to be the same as you think, but it was 80%, 70% of my expectations, so which is high when you're scouting. Usually it's lower. But because I took a lot of time to scout, and also the process was slow, talking to players and also watching them during scrims. I also I was one day, it was 6 hours of scrims. I joined the French team that Brahms played, and I heard their communication in French for 6 hours. It was quite experience. But even if someone is talking his native language, you learn a lot about their personalities and how they behave, and especially when someone is looking in them. So I don't mind. I like this kind of scouting and this dirty job, because I don't know, there's nothing more satisfying to see someone that you help him to grow up, and then when he succeeds, you feel proud father. You see your son there succeeding and moving to big org, or lifting the trophy. It's amazing feeling.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from, man. I'm curious, I know you're a huge fan of anime, so I'm curious if anime consideration was part of your scouting process. Did you ask every player what their favorite anime was, or anything like that?
Actually, I was very disappointed. There's only one weeb in our team, so it's only Sander. He likes anime, and the other guys, they're some they're not never watched it. They don't even know what it is. and some of them like maybe saw a couple, but we'll get to it. So we'll do some catch-ups.
I know, like working in North America, you probably, well, I know firsthand that you dealt with a lot of anime fans, weebs as you call them. I think that's a derogatory term, so I'm going to try to avoid using it, but I'm not sure. So, and
I mean, I'm proud weeb. I don't care.
It's interesting. Like, I don't know how big anime even is in Europe. Like, I mean, it's got to be getting bigger anyway, but.
It's the same, Like I think it's the same percentage of people that they're watching. I think in my team right now, there's more people that watching anime than our last Triumph roster.
Really?
Yeah. But like it's worldwide now. It's like nothing to an A or to a U. Like everyone watching it. So and it's especially like the mainstream ones, like almost everyone watching. So. It's quite popular.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask the hard-hitting questions up front, So obviously, I know your history, but you shared your experience of like transitioning from Overwatch to Valorant. You and I both know it's no secret that when Valorant came out, there were a lot of people, both players and coaches, and some organizations that transitioned from away from Overwatch to Valorant. And I know a lot of people who sought it to be sort of a new opportunity. A lot of people that were struggling to find opportunities in the Overwatch community or the Overwatch pro scene took to Valorant as a clean slate. And so I'm curious for you, like, what was your transition like? And maybe even elaborate a little bit on the decision being made as somebody who, in my opinion, was obviously like a top contenders coach in Overwatch and might have had a major tier 1 opportunity around the corner. What kind of thought process goes into the transition and the decision to actually just go full-time Valorant and to leave Overwatch?
Yeah, the decision was quite hard because it's a game you don't know anything about. And also you have a lot of talent comes from a CS. So your knowledge will be tested from the first second. You don't have enough time to build up yourself, and try to prove yourself in 6 months. So first of all, I didn't join Valorant right away because I had responsibility with the Overwatch team in contender season. So as soon as we finished, and when the guys went to their week off, day after I already had a tryout in Valorant. And I started like catching up with everyone and learning the game. Obviously, I played a lot in beta, grinded the game a lot until the last date was closed. So I had the idea about the game, and I really liked it. By the way, surprisingly, I didn't expect it to like, but same as Overwatch. By the way, I didn't expect it to like Overwatch at all, and I know I like Valorant a lot. Obviously, it's not perfect yet, and there's a lot of things to do to make it work and make it a perfect game, but devs are doing an amazing job with that. We'll give them time. So the transition was a lot of questions. Can I transition? My knowledge is enough or not? You have like this, a lot of people coming from multiplayer games, from Fortnite and PUBG and Overwatch and R6 and Counter-Strike, and it's a mix of like a lot of competition. A lot of people trying, a lot of people see this as an opportunity. There's a huge competition. A lot of people don't even know, you can't assess where you're standing. Am I tier 1? Am I tier 2? Like, where should I go? Like, where should I start? It was very confusing at start. But I told myself that it doesn't matter where I go, where I start, tier 2 or tier 1. Obviously, I want to try to go as high as I can, but I wanted to avoid the mistakes I did in Overwatch because in Overwatch I had the ability to coach any team in Overwatch League, and I'm not saying it because I'm arrogant. I'm saying it because I know the coaching situation in Overwatch League, so I know the people that are coaching there. I know the story, so it's not like we are 1 year in Overwatch League and you don't know what is going on there. So I know I can coach any team in Overwatch League. But I had these other problems because I was unknown, I was stayed too much behind the scene, and I was like in my ecosystem, and I wasn't known. And it's like this was my fault. It's not no one else's fault. It's just like the way I work, and it's like or social media, it's not natural for me at all. So I said to myself, like, I'm not going to do my mistakes from Overwatch. Doesn't matter where I start. I'm going to do everything the opposite I did from Overwatch. And I just started messaging everyone. I didn't care. I started messaging every org. I knocked a lot of doors until some of them offered me to try out. Obviously, the one with the FPX was the most impactful for my transition, is because until that point I was doing some videos for some orgs without leaking. Sorry, so and then I started giving improvement for my knowledge in Valorant. So it wasn't like in my head. So I wanted to transition my knowledge to other teams and see what they think. And the feedback was amazing from the start. And then FPX offered me a tryout. I was talking with Angel a lot. This guy is like, I don't know how to explain it. Is like his impact on my transition was huge, because we talked about during the tryout. Obviously, he didn't ask me about the game at all, which is for me it was like the biggest sign that this guy understands what he's doing. Because like in Overwatch, the coaches says, I don't know if it's still it's the same in the last year, but what I didn't like in Overwatch, people were still, especially in Overwatch League, still stuck in this conversation. Do you understand the game or not? Like all your questions is like, make a VOD review. Like you're being tested if you're making good VOD review. Like coaching is not like a VOD review. Like it's so beyond that. Like VOD review is like 1% of your work, and sometimes you are not the one even doing it. So I not even was asked about the game. It's more the approach for the staff, like how I prepare my team, like about performance, how the schedule looks like, how you manage the team, what is your ability to manage people, the real questions, not asking you, can goats pizza dive, questions, and then based off that, this guy is good in Overwatch and good in coaching, which is kind of absurd, to test someone's skills as coach on this kind of basic question. So for me, it was immediate sign that like I'm doing something right, because this guy is talking my language, like performance and how to prepare people for tournaments. And there's like small things, like how you manage your team, like what you do in the day of a tournament, how you do daily schedule, how you make your schedule as efficient as possible. All these things that they're like, it's a daily thing as a coach, and no one asked me in Overwatch about these things, like ever. And I tried for some Overwatch League teams. These questions never came up, which is, I think, a problem for itself. And you can't expect someone that doesn't understand these subjects and ask you these questions,
Yeah.
So for Angel was like improvement of my knowledge, also in game and in performance and other stuff, and managing team. We talked because I came with some ideas about Counter-Strike, and then he kind of blew this away with all what I think I was taught like Counter-Strike is, and then I understood how everything is the same. Like all my theory from Overwatch transitioned perfectly to Valorant, like almost like 98% of stuff.
Right.
So I was so surprised, and he like kind of give me improvement to my knowledge that everything that is in my mind is actually as it is, So that from there I got like a confidence, and I understood like I can be one of the best coaches in this game. And then again, Vitality, they were also later asking me these questions as well. They were talking about me about performance, how I manage the team, and they even asking me like some scenarios, like this player doing this, how you deal with that, and how you scout, like what you're looking at when you're scouting, like you give them like the details about scouting and like show you like your approach. Like there's no right answers for this. It's just like this, they want to see how you approach stuff and how you deal with the problems, which is for me showed like, this is the direction I want to work with. So once I start like moving to this direction, and I didn't even think about Overwatch League at that moment. I didn't even think go back and say, oh, I went to Overwatch League, or feel bad that I didn't join an Overwatch League team, because I felt like I have a lot of potential in this game and I want to fulfill it.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful, man. It's actually really refreshing to hear that that's their approach as an organization, Vitality. And I know what you mean. Like a lot of the actual skills to be a good coach or to be a good leader, these things are almost not quantifiable, right? So it's just stuff that it's more about like your approach and your understanding of team environments that's most important. And I agree that in Overwatch, that was a big thing, holding a lot of good coaches back. So that like people wanted to see, do you understand the strategy to play on this map? It's like, yeah, that stuff's really simple to understand. Like, and I'm curious, one of the reasons I asked this question is I was curious from transitioning from one game to another, whether Overwatch or anything, but just in your experience, I just wonder like, what things did you have to pick up? Because you bring up a good point too, that from day one in Valorant, you have professional players coming from all walks of life, every different game, every different scene, and everybody has a different understanding of how to play as a team or like what's important in a game. And so I'm curious, like coming from Overwatch, meeting players from CS, meeting players from Siege, et cetera, what type of things did you learn quickly that you're able to, add to your own coaching game that you hadn't really thought about or that you were seeing differently once you joined Valorant?
First of all, I'm still doing it because every once in a while you meet new people in the game, and so you learn from their experience from Counter-Strike. One of the biggest changes, it's the culture, because like we in Overwatch, we have this Korean culture that we don't even notice this, but I think it's because the game is the Korean culture has big impact on entire scene, not only in Korea or NA or Overwatch, like it's also in EU. It's basically if you don't grind, you never succeed. Like you have no chance. There's always someone that will outgrind you, and you have to grind huge amount of hours. So like this grind mentality is like super basic in Overwatch. You don't even think about it. Like it's and in Counter-Strike, it's not like that. People not grinding this amount of hours, not all of them. And for many, it's sometimes it seems like super weird that you need to grind so many hours, and they feel like playing ranked, it's just gonna hurt their skill. Which is, there's some truth to that, but but this is like a big culture problem. And it's not. It's just difference. It's something you have to learn and to adapt and see and find your way and see where Valorant is. Like we don't know where. Like if Valorant is like something like Overwatch or like Counter-Strike or like completely something new. But players have to be aware of that, so this it can happen in any game that you will be outgrinded, especially at the start of the game. So it doesn't matter if you are grinding now or not, but you need to know that there's like the next top Valorant player is not a CS player. It's not someone that transitioned from CS. It's someone that is like 10 years old, 12 years old, grinding ranked all day long now, and he will be next star. So you are racing against them, not against Scream and Mixwell. So it's up to you if you want to grind. I give them the option, but trust me, they grind. They understand that they are in the race, and when you get into big org, it's not the cue to rest. It's basically you need to kick up. Now you have the opportunity to have this time only to work and grind, and you don't have distractions around you, and you just can use this time to grind even more than you could before.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it makes sense. Definitely cultural differences coming from different games, kind of informing your opinion as a coach. It's sort of like as a player, you have to see a million different scenarios to be able to make good decisions in every scenario. It's kind of like the same with the coach. It's like you have to see how different people see teamwork and how different people see team environments and work ethic to understand what works for different people. So yeah, it's great, man. And I'm glad you're doing well. And I'm curious, one thing that you and I talked about, and we can go on a bit of a lighter note, but kind of touch on like this Korean work ethic that you had to deal with in Overwatch. I wanted to ask you what it's like in the last couple of months, last few months, I guess. Well, it's been quite a while, maybe last 6 months, transitioning from a North American schedule to a European schedule, because I know for a long time, you obviously live in Israel. I don't mean to dox you or anything like that, but you're very far away from North America. And for a long time, you were working midnights online with NA teams. So what's it been like now, actually getting to work in EU at normal times of day? Has it been good for you?
It's actually amazing. Like I had a couple opportunities in NA, but I never pursued them too much. I didn't actually want them, because once I starting to talk to teams like FPX, and there was like, I saw a lot of opportunities in EU. I didn't even want to try NA too much, because like being in NA for 2 years, it hurts your health, mentally wise, everything. It's also damaging your schedule. You're less productive and less social. I mean, it's not like we are social in the past year because of the COVID, but it limits you, and it makes the situation even harder. And it's something that you need to learn as well with the players when you're working that working from EU and NA. You need to consider like this. It's a big burden on your mental. And so I told myself, if I start working a bit big org, I want it to be like a daily job, so I can wake up properly and do my job, and then go back to do other stuff, and not just doing this, because like we're not kids anymore. And so I saw enough opportunities in EU, so I didn't want even to try NA. I know the price it takes, so I didn't to do it again. Maybe in the future, who knows? After the COVID, and not canceling this option. But being in NA was important for me, because like I have this philosophy. I got inspired by Pep Guardiola. But before he became a coach, he traveled the world, and he met all kind of cultures, good in football, not good in football, and he wanted to work with the right people that he wanted to learn from, because he knew that he didn't want to be the best coach back then. Like, he wanted to be a coach like in 6 years. He told myself 5-6 years it will take me learn, and then I will start improving as a coach. But until then, I want to just learn. Just absorb. I don't care about success. I don't care about achievements. I want to absorb. So for me, I learned a lot from my experience. So I analyze everything, every detail I do, every event that happens to me. I analyze it to a mental level, and like normal stuff as well, and try to improve from that. So for me, it's really important to go to NA and know the different culture of people and how they react to stuff, because it kind of gives me a perspective on people, how they react to stuff, and how I as a coach to adapt to different people, and being flexible with myself, so I can adapt to people in any scenario. It doesn't matter if it's like NA, French, or Korean people. And the more experience and people I being exposed, like the more scenarios I face, the smarter I become. So even it was hard experience, I don't regret it. So now it's time to go to EU, and now grind my EU knowledge.
Yeah, it's like in NA, you were in the hyperbolic time chamber. You were just like, it was like you're putting extra pressure on yourself just to kind of become better in a faster time. I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at. I was curious, like, transitioning from NA to EU, like, if there were any positive takeaways. So it's good to hear that there were, and that you do see it not as a waste of time, but more so as just a challenge that you overcame and that you learned from. So I'm curious now, man, we talked about this a little bit, but, you're still at home now. I'm sure this year, frankly, this year traveling for everybody has been tough, but I'm curious, do you have plans to ultimately go to Vitality's headquarters? I'm assuming they're in France. I don't know exactly where they're located. I mean, do you have plans to go there soon? I know that working online is not optimal. Yeah.
Yeah, so actually, the team were in a bootcamp 2 weeks ago in our first Challengers week. They flew there like a couple days before the tournament, and like we don't have like a team house. These things are not existing anymore. Like everyone playing from home, and once in a while we're flying to Paris for a bootcamp. I still can't travel. I have this problem because France is not accepting foreign citizens that are outside of EU. It's a big problem right now in EU overall because there's countries in EU that they are outside the EU. So it's kind of weird. Yeah. So it's hard for teams to make any bootcamps right now. And Paris, like, it's also like very restrictive on this, So obviously, once everything will be relieved, also in 2 weeks, I'm doing my second COVID dose, the vaccine dose,
Okay.
So maybe it will make the traveling easier. We already starting to see the results of it in Israel. About like 60% of the population is vaccine. So we already see the decline in the sum of the numbers, which is like so positive. And people here already kind of feeling the end. So hopefully it will get to the rest of the world very soon. So I think more and more countries will understand it, and people that got vaccinated, they will be able to travel. We have this like green passport that's for 6 months that we can travel anywhere freely without any COVID test, without anything. So I think many countries will join that very soon. But I'm gonna join the headquarters this the first second I can,
as soon as you can. Yeah.
The place. I don't know if you saw the clips in YouTube, but it's like the place is amazing, and I'm dying to be there already.
Yeah, it looks like a dream office, to be honest. That's why I was curious,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, travel is impossible for anyone. I mean, I've been working from home all year as well. Like it's tough for everyone in every country.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully it clears up sooner rather than later. I suppose really for you guys, it just depends on your own competitive schedule. So I want to touch on this a little bit to kind of talk more, less broad and more granular, and just talk about like specifically Valorant Challengers. I'd like to get your sort of take and your outlook for Challengers. We're now going in on this show comes in. This show's going to go live on Tuesday. I think we're pulling up on the third Challengers qualifier or the fourth.
Yeah, it's going to move to the second because
second one.
Yeah.
Third,
oh wait, no, the third Challenger, but it's going to be on the 2nd of March.
It's on the 2nd of March for the third Challenger. Yeah. So I'm curious. This last week you guys played a qualifier, and you have another one this week. You were saying so. With the recent changes, how do you feel about the sort of professional format for Valorant so far, and what's your outlook on it?
It's quite a hard question for someone from EU. We're struggling with the formats for quite long already. I actually don't know why it's so hard to make a good format. It's funny, in Overwatch, we had a great game, but the formats and tournaments and everything was garbage. And here, the game is really good. There's a viewership. There's a lot of fans in EU, and you feel a lot of love for this game. And the devs are doing an amazing job of addressing problems. But then we're stuck in the fucking formats. The most easy thing to do, and we don't have a single best of 3 double elimination in EU for past 6 months on top level, which is it's a big struggle for us as orgs as well, because it's hard to know who's actually the better. You don't know actual ranking,
right?
You can't even rank maybe you can rank who's the first one, but there's also others. Maybe they got the easier bracket. Maybe they got lucky. Maybe they got one good game and then that's it. We don't know because we don't even have double elimination. But the recent changes we had the previous week, I think it's really good first step to build a good, healthy EU scene. Now we had like more seeding in the tournaments, and we also have like best of threes in the qualifiers. So it's a good first step. I think there still need to be more changes to be done to make it even more competitive and make more streams, and also make double elimination. And since like right now it's still based off luck on some way, because it depends on what bracket you fall in qualifiers. It decides like what team you're gonna play against to qualify to Masters. Like in NA, it's all best of three double elimination, and there's like absolute answer of who is the better, because you need, even if you had luck one game, you need to beat a good team at least twice to prove that you're at that level.
Right.
And we don't have it right now, and it's quite disappointing.
Yeah, why are the rules different in NA versus EU? Like, is it just the tournament operators or organizers, or is it Riot? Like, why is it best of threes in NA and not EU?
From my understanding, it's different departments like NA Riot and EU Riot, and they have their own competitive crew or people that they're doing this job. So the decision making is different. And also later these departments, they're delegating these tournaments to other tournament organizers. So don't know exactly where it's falling, but I think it's on both sides. But it seems like we've been heard in EU. The first step's been done with that, and I think more to follow. Maybe not these qualifiers, but I think you feel like Riot is listening, and the implements are they are fast. So it's not like we need to wait for entire Overwatch League season to change like a big problem that hurts everyone, or you need to throw like 4 or 5 months into trash and contenders because there is like you need to send an email to some admin that needs to send an email to the other admin that needs to send email to other admin that has nothing to say, and then they just like a big chain of emails and no decisions, and you sit there and playing shit formats and throw months into garbage.
Yeah, I will say so far it does seem like Riot is definitely on top of it. I mean, it doesn't mean they're always going to be perfect with all their formats. And I also agree with you. I don't understand what's so tough about formats, especially when you have different formats in different regions. It's just never made sense to me in any game. Yeah. But unless there's like a drastic difference in player base, which I don't think between NA and EU there is. So I don't know. But it is good to remember whenever I get upset about CS:GO or COD or Valorant, it's something that happened like that the developer did with the Path to Pro or something, I always look back at Overwatch and I just smile and realize I don't have it as bad as I used to.
Yeah, we are guys from Overwatch. We can appreciate things because we didn't have anything. So any change, we've seen it in everything, the shittiest side. So for us, any small change, it's already refreshing,
Can roll with it, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm curious, like how long have you guys been playing together? Like it's been like a month or two, almost 2 maybe, since you at the very least since you started building.
Yeah, so we started building at start of December.
2 months.
But the roster, it took time. Like we trialed a lot of people. As I said, I like scouting, so I wanted even some of the players maybe I didn't want for the team right now, but I wanted to get a closer look for these players to keep them, like in my back pocket list. So it was quite extensive. So a lot of people got trialed, and that time I don't consider that time as like team time because it was scouting and
right.
And trials focused. But officially we started working on after the January break. So it's a month and like 5-6 weeks or something like that.
Yeah. The reason I ask is because you guys are probably just now getting to the phase where you're starting to feel comfortable as a team and starting to really understand each other. And so because you guys kind of got into the challengers, how do I say this, like circuit a little bit late compared to some of the other bigger organizations, what's your guys' path to Masters, and like what are you kind of looking at now as like the must wins, and like how are you feeling about the outlook for your team right now? I mean, just realistically.
First of all, there's like a big difference in Valorant and Overwatch in that regard, because like in Overwatch League, every year everything is like kind of resets, and everyone's starting from almost same point, kind of. And also like everyone in off season, so everyone like have there's the transfers. So most of the teams, they're like new or did some moves, so they need time to build up and catch up. In Valorant right now, it's like the new orgs and the new teams, they are in catch up phase. And like I never experienced this in an Overwatch too much, but these teams, they have like 6-8 months over you with the playtime, and it has a big impact on the game, like from strategy and what you prioritize for a tournament. You can't focus everything, and you need to like see what is the most important thing for you now for the upcoming tournament, and then try to adapt on some things and add here and there stuff. But it's obviously it's not easy. Like the time is a big constraint. Like it's a big issue for us and for all the new teams. So that's what we need for now. Like just time.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, that's kind of what I'm alluding to, it's like obviously putting together a team in the last month, you do have a disadvantage just naturally to teams that have been together since the game came out. And this obviously will not be a thing eventually, 5 years down the line, you'll be able to pick, experienced players and put them together with relative ease, but definitely early in a game cycle, this is a big disadvantage for you guys, I'm sure. So, I'm curious, like, and really it's just for myself, man, because I don't really know the qualifying schedule very well and the format very well. So I'm just, what tournaments you have coming up? You have a qualifier this weekend, if or this week, sorry. If you qualify this weekend, are you in the green, or do you have to play another tournament? Like, what's your guys' path to success right now that you're focusing on?
So we're gonna start the qualifiers from day one next week, and we have to go through entire qualifiers, and we will have to beat the top 4 team right now that after the current qualifiers, the bottom 4 of the top 8 teams that didn't qualify to Masters. We will have to beat one of those teams to get into the Masters, and then if we qualify, the Masters will be like thing then the following week after the qualifiers. Okay,
good. Well, do you guys know the bracket yet? I mean, this comes out Tuesday. You probably already know by Tuesday, but as of today, do you know like who you guys are facing this week?
No, we have no idea. Like you just know it a couple hours before. So yeah. It's pretty common in EU. You don't know anything, like you live in chaos, so you get used to chaos. So we are fine. We will know who we're playing against 1 hour before. It's all good for us. So we got used to it,
Are you guys hoping for any rematches, like on teams that maybe you faced earlier on that you think that you could, have a better faring against now?
I think we're too young for that. We have the hunger to beat everyone. I don't think I would exclude any team that I don't want to beat. We want to be eventually the best we can, and we want to beat any team in EU. So, and I think we're still too young to rivalries. So maybe something with time will come up.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's fair. That's fair. I like the democratic approach, man. You hands up. You don't want to talk any smack about anybody. I understand. I was just curious. Speaking of one thing that I wanted to know, this was kind of something I wasn't even going to put in the podcast, but I am curious. Like, and I'm going to take it back a little bit. I apologize. On your team, where do all of your players come from? Like game wise, are they all? Was there core of them together in another game prior, or were they all just kind of picked one by one from different worlds? I mean, what is the spread of team experience?
Like their previous games, you mean?
Yeah, like CS, like Fortnite, maybe. Like where'd they all come from?
Yeah, they all of them played Counter-Strike. I don't think there's any FPS player in the world that never touched Counter-Strike. I don't think that exists, because there was like almost 10 years ago, there was like big void in FPS games. You basically had the Counter-Strike, Call of Duty, and Battlefield. That's what you had for FPS games. So if you don't play any of those, you go to Counter-Strike because it's like the most known, and you just want to shoot, you want to play FPS game. So everyone have some Counter-Strike experience on some extent, and most of the players came from Counter-Strike, and one guy played PUBG.
PUBG, interesting.
Yeah. I actually didn't follow the NA scene lately, but I don't know what is your status with Fortnite players, because we have a lot of Fortnite players here in EU, and they're doing really good in this game.
We actually had I think we have some Fortnite players that have been very successful in Valorant. Most of our players, of course, come from Counter-Strike. I think the majority of NA Counter-Strike, or the majority of NA Valorant, probably 60% of players come from, tier 2 CS, like legit, like top CS teams in NA. Of course, that like in Counter-Strike, EU is by far the dominant region. And so NA teams...
In Valorant is also going to be like that.
maybe not by far, okay, but yeah, that is another topic too. Is I'm curious how EU versus NA is going to fare in Valorant. But what I was going to say is the majority of players in NA and Valorant seem to come from tier 2 CS, like teams that obviously are never going to make it to tier 1 because we are sort of in like, the inferior region or the second region, right? So pretty much every team you can just rattle off like three or four players on every top team in NA is pretty much just ex-CS players. But there's a couple of Fortnite players, surprisingly, and FaZe has a lot of Overwatch players. There have been a few Overwatch players that have made really good transitions early on. A lot of the players you would expect, Widow players, Tracer players, not a lot of tank players, you know what I mean? And that's about it. I mean, I think you have like some Rainbow Six Siege players. That's really about it.
I was surprised by how good Fortnite players doing in this game, at least in the EU.
Yeah.
They're individually they are monsters. Their mechanical skill is so high, and this will be. I'm telling you, it's the biggest threat for Valorant players. It's not people transitioning from Counter-Strike. It's kids transitioning from Fortnite. These kids are skilled as fuck, man. And I mean, they may be lacking some team fundamentals and how to play within the team environment. That's something they're lacking. But I think they have, because of they have this like really high skill, individual skill. They have time to catch up with the team stuff.
Right.
It will be interesting to see, like in 2 years down, like what if they actually could catch up or not. But I believe in those players. Like we have players like Zip and Doma. They're doing like really well in the game, and also on team level, they're doing a really good job. And I think more kids will follow, and they will. I think they will dominate the Valorant later. But many Counter-Strike players in EU, like they try to transition. By the way, like there's a lot of underground movement that people trying to transition, but not everyone can transition now. It's not that as easy it was like 6 months ago or 8 months ago. The game is progressed. Like what is needed from you now in the game, and what you need to understand right now, it's bigger than what was 6 months ago. And just your individual skill from Counter-Strike is not enough right now. Whoever wants to transition from Counter-Strike, he needs some time in the game to actually be able to compete with the less experienced guys that are playing grinding this game from day one.
Mm-hmm.
But like in EU, the difference between EU and NA, it's like in EU, there's always like orgs leaning to new talent more than like NA, which people try rosters, but they like more established players and known players. So And that's why I think this talent from EU eventually will rise, and it doesn't matter what the region is better right now, I think, but EU is like, I think at least what I've seen so far is that has like maybe higher potential, maybe less experience for now, but higher potential, and maybe for the long term.
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, I think tactical shooters in the EU, it's a much bigger genre and more popular genre anyway. So, I mean, yeah, like I think to your point that you made earlier as well, like when the game first comes out, when any AAA title comes out, you always see like the player base has to come from somewhere. So 99% of the time, it's like the players are just coming from another game that they played professionally to be, pro in the new game from day one. But eventually at some point there becomes this tipping point really, where it's no longer people transitioning from Counter-Strike or transitioning from Overwatch or any game. It's the people that played Valorant from day one. And so that's the talent now that's going to be coming up. That's the new talent, the people that this is their first game actually competing in, and I think we are getting to that point now where it's going to be really difficult because the game's been out long enough. Everyone understands the game, has been playing it for so long that you can't just jump from another game anymore. Because you need that wealth of Valorant knowledge that only people that have been playing it every day this year have. What's interesting, actually, it shouldn't be surprising that Fortnite players are so talented. Like, I know Fortnite's like a bit of a meme. I don't know. You and I are both a little bit older. I mean, you're older than me, like you're way older than me, but I never really played Fortnite. But when I watch Fortnite, like their APM, like is so high. Like their actions per minute, their like mechanical skill has to be so high. And a lot of kids played Fortnite from like 12 years old, and like they had to play this really fast-paced game, making a lot of very quick decisions. So it shouldn't be surprising that there's a lot of players coming from that game as maybe their first game where they learned how to be mechanically gifted or like, hone their mechanics, now wanting to get into a team game. I suppose a new game like Valorant is a really good opportunity for them to do so. So maybe it's not as much of a meme as it seems. I think you might be right, like there's a serious wave of talent.
I was miming Fortnite as well because for me it was and I never liked this game at all. It's not because I'm shitting this. It's because before even I tried it, it doesn't seem like something I like to play in my play style of game or what I like in my games. But the thing is, what is underrated is the mechanics of building and editing. This mechanic is by far hardest mechanics right now in any esports, and there's this game evolves every single month, and people coming up with new stuff. And if you played Fortnite like 6 months ago, you're gonna try to play right now, you're gonna get outplayed so easy, and you are behind. And I'm not sure if you even be able to catch up, because if things are moving so fast and kids are improving so fast, and the mechanics is super hard, and also your aim is like very like the things you're practicing in game. It's very, you can adapt this to any game because you need to aim like 360, many weapons, many techniques you need to use to aim. Some Counter-Strike players, they struggling to aim to air targets. The strays, double satchels on site. It's not that easy for Counter-Strike players to react to this kind of flying things, I mean, we coming from Overwatch, like flying monkeys, it's our daily thing. But for these people that they just see the people coming only for their crosshair placement, they never like react to the skies. So, and for Fortnite players, this is their strength, they control their aim 360, any technique, and they're also, I think it's just my theory, thanks to this editing and building skills, like they're really good into understanding abilities as well, like how to utilize your abilities to the higher level. Like they understand it on very high level compared to Counter-Strike players. Obviously these things will be evened out eventually, but right now they have the edge. And it's something as an Overwatch coach or player, you can see it. Like you can see who has better understanding in abilities, who can use these abilities and to their potential pretty fast. So yeah, this Fortnite guy is definitely players you need to look at for in near future.
Yeah, no, that's actually, I never thought about that, but I think you're spot on. It'd be interesting to see as like all the Fortnite players, grow up, 10 years from now, because they're all still 12. So maybe once Valorant 2 comes out, it'll be just run by old Fortnite players. Well, listen, man, we covered a lot, and time kind of flies, man. I think we hit our mark today. So I appreciate the updates, man. It's so nice to talk to you. I really did enjoy the conversation. It's good to see your face. It's been a long time. One last thing I just want to say is congratulations, and I am very happy for you. I mean that when I say it, and I'm going to be following your journey. So you better not fail. No pressure.
I mean, you always have to perform. The pressure is always there, so you just need to learn to live with that. So it's nothing new. But thank you for having me. It was really nice coming back home, to a place that helped me to grow as well, and sharing some of the experience. Maybe we'll meet more in the future, catch up again. My journey just started, so maybe it's not like I'm at the end or something. And
right.
Yeah, so I'm in the middle of my journey, so it will be interesting to see where it goes.